Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Talking Timepieces, where we talk about watch collecting and horology. Hi to everybody out there. I see Warren's already on. Hey, elusive man, I'm sorry I missed you in New York. And a shout out to Sage, my American friend who happens to be in town, and she promised she would actually watch my show today. So I'm very flattered. Um, but yeah, I'm sorry I missed you, my friend. You were in Asia for 3 weeks. That's not terrible. I wouldn't mind being in Asia for 3 weeks. Um, in fact, next week I'll be Monday. Well, actually tomorrow. Yeah, Monday, Tuesday I'll be in not in Dusseldorf, in Nuremberg for the SPS, the Smart Power Solutions. It's an automation show. So if you're a watch fan and you're at the SPS show, wave at me. Hey, Tanya. Oh, it's so nice. And I was very lucky to see Tanya when I was in New York. We managed to steal a lunch in Manhattan together. She's an old friend from when I used to hang with a guy named Floyd Vasquez. He was a military newscaster, and so it was interesting because he delivered the news at night on the military channels. It was fun, and we used to hang out. And he moved to the states and lived in Manhattan for a while, and that's when I met Tanya because I met her through him. A very interesting character, and she's a very interesting person. Oh, let's see, great time. We did have a great time. Cheers. And so I was trying to be cutesy with the headline. Hey, Sage. Yeah. Greetings and long life. And so I was thinking about the marketplace. And I deliberately was trying to be funny in the headline. Is it a bull, a bear, or a raccoon market? Because we all know what a bull market is. Everybody wants to buy. It's a marketplace, uh, a bubble. And then we've got a bear market, which everybody's being careful and restrictive. Not a lot of money is moving. The market is down. I coined the term raccoon market, especially for us watch people, because when you think about it, what does a raccoon do? A raccoon forages. A raccoon is a small predator, but it has to pick its battles. It washes its food before it eats. It moisturizes it, not because they're fastidious. And but the fact is we are. I believe it's not a bear market. There's money out there. There are watches. I'm looking at the market. There are watches moving for real money. Um, my local dealer has a real land dweller, so I'm going to go take a look at it and talk him into letting me do at least a 30-second short on it. And I did the video that we pulled in so far almost 20,000 views on it. And it's just a 10-15 second video of me looking at a fake land dweller I came across in on Canal Street. And it's interesting when you talk about fake watches because there are some people who obviously like fake watches, and um, to each their own. But I get a lot of traffic on the fake watch videos I've done, and this fake land dweller. And I mean, okay, I'll even admit it was a cheap fake because number one, it was quartz. A halfway decent fake at least is going to have a Chinese automatic in it, and a good fake would have at least Salida or something of that nature, a Miota or something in it. But this was a quartz land dweller. And oh, but which reminds me, wristwatch check, wearing my oyster quartz, which is, of course, the design uh, ancestor of the current land dweller. And it's a 36, I know, and it looks the nice thing is though is it wears big because it's so angular, and when you wear a smaller watch with a sleeve, it helps balance the size of the watch. Because I would love to get my hands on a land dweller, but I don't have that comical amount of money lying around. Which, good news, by the way. My ex-wife said she wants the watch back, her father's watch, and I'm like, excellent, because if she's reconsidered and wants it back, she's not going to sell it. And my goal was to keep it in the family. So boom, I don't have to spend the money on the watch. She gave me my down payment back. And actually, I did buy a new piece. Let me show you my new piece. 1 second. I bought a new, well, it's a used piece, but I bought a piece. I wasn't planning to, but my friend came up and he's like, Alex, I've got this limited edition Seiko Presage mechanical power reserve pointer date GMT. And I'm like, with my new job, I'm going to be traveling a lot more to places I'm not familiar with. And I wanted to have something nice. And this is nice. I wanted something nice to travel with and not always, because I will still travel heavily with my IWC. Um, but I also want to change it up a little bit, and these are both travel GMTs. And it gives me a chance to change up. But then again, if I was going to go on a one watch trip, I could also take the Nicholas Rusek, because a lot of people don't know it is a travel GMT chrono. Is it not focusing because it's my face? I don't know. I apologize for the lack of focus on that. Let's try one last time. There we go. That's not too bad. And I really like my Nicholas Rusek. And those of you who've been watching the show know that I just recently picked up the metal bracelet, the least expensive metal bracelet I have ever bought for a luxury piece. It only cost me 500 and change. And the Omega, the strap that I had, the metal strap that I bought for my Snoopy, that cost me 8 and change. And I didn't. One of the reasons I sold my three-hander Polaris was I didn't want to spend 2,200 on a metal bracelet. So the Nicholas Rusek is clicking it. So, but back to the market topic very quickly, and then I'm going to read some of the comments. We're in a market where there's a lot of money flowing around, but people are very cautious with it, and people have expectations of the marketplace that some are realizing and some are not, because uh, even with the tariffs, what I've seen more pieces in my local stores. I think that when you think about Asia and you think about the year-long waiting lists in Europe, Rolex could get rid of all of their premium pieces if they chose to in that fashion by just simply reshuffling. But the ADs in the States got their quotas to meet too, right? So that's why I say raccoon market, because it's not a dead market. It's not a bear market. It's not that everyone isn't spending. There are people spending. And it's not a bull market, but it's an opportunistic market. Pick through the trash, find the odd bone here or there. Keep your eyes open for opportunities. I mean, we do that on a regular case, but in this case, because of the irregularities in the marketplace, there is a potential for one-off finds, and now is the time to be mentally prepared for them. So let's go I love it when I have to scroll up to catch more comments. Vince, hey, seen you in a while. Haven't seen you in a while. Hi, Kevin Hawthorne. Good afternoon or good evening from Wiesbaden, Germany. So yeah, the market is something you have to. It's a very volatile. Actually, I shouldn't say volatile, because if you think about the prices of things, and I've been keeping track, like I said, I watch the markets. Watch prices. Okay, the asking prices are still pretty firm. I don't know what people are selling them for, but once the negotiations begin. But the inventory in my local shops are rotating. So I don't think it's, everyone's talking gloom and doom, everything's collapsing. There's some rough spots out there, but the market itself, I think, is going to weather it, because, I mean, what I'm fond of pointing out is, did the light bulb kill the candle? We still buy candles, and American Candle Company is a multi-billion-dollar business. Not as big as light bulbs, obviously, but mechanical watches are already a subset of the marketplace. So it will continue to be a subset of the marketplace, and the profits may not be as high, but mechanical watches ain't going anywhere. And because of the volatility in the market and the uncertainties, there are opportunities out there. If you have to just keep your eyes open and your powder dry. I'm really pleased. I got my down payment on the president back because now I got my war chest back, and I might even go hunting. But I've got stuff to do in the near future. But I was going to go to the Prague watch show at the end of the month, but yeah, it's right after Thanksgiving. And I may still at least try. We'll see. Because if I would, I mean, at this point, I would have to probably catch a last flight, it would be out of my pocket. It's not like, I mean, I get like 100 and change a month from YouTube for this channel. It's not like I'm gonna be able to do it. But I do plan to be in Warsaw in May. There's a watch show there, and I was talking to the organizers, and they're going to at least help me find a cheap hotel. Maybe get their rate or something. I mean, I'm not. It won't be free, but it'll be a lot cheaper than normal and all. And for that, I would take a long train ride. I wouldn't mind. I would get a they have they're starting. I think they do. I know they have sleepers for some routes. I don't know if I can go for that, but I wouldn't mind just overnighting in various cities on the way train ride and just take some hops to get there. But I'm going to be at the Warsaw show, and I promised once I hit 10,000 subscribers, I'll start going to Watches and Wonders. I do go to Geneva Watch Days. I missed this year because of a conflict, but I went last year, and I intend to go next year. So. How was my trip last week? Gian asks. Hi, Gian. How's it going? Yeah, I was last week. I was in Arkansas at the opening of a silicon carbide research facility at the University of Arkansas. They are doing some incredibly cool stuff. They just recently had a high temperature superconductor breakthrough there at the University of Arkansas. I think that's why they dragged. Well, they didn't drag me, but they flew me and my friend Nitin Dahad, the editor in chief of EE Times. We were both there for the event, and even Warnock, the one of the Arkansas representatives, was there, and because it's a big thing. It was a research facility for silicon carbide wafer development that they just opened at the University of Arkansas, and if you go to electronicproducts.com, you'll see a video I shot. I already posted the video. I interviewed Dr. Mantooth, the professor who over 20 years from idea to final facility, and it's a world-class research facility. So that was a great trip. Thanks for asking. And we even got to go to a piano bar. Fayetteville, Arkansas is actually quite a bouncing, it's a college town. So it's not what I expected, but it was very fun. And I enjoyed my time there. So, Gian, I just realized that the PRX is inspired from this shape. Well, frankly, no, not this shape, this shape. Well, frankly, Gerald Genta's fingerprints are all, well, this was based on, this isn't a Genta design, but it's based on a Genta design that Genta did for Rolex, the Texan. And once we started seeing integrated cases and bracelets, took off. I mean, Zenith did it. A lot of companies did it. And so the PRX, I think the PRX is an amalgam homage of a lot of the striking features of some of those Genta-esque integrated bracelet designs. And I think the joke is when Rolex does it, it's officially peaked. And now that they came out with the Land Dweller, I think integrated bracelets have officially peaked. And that's a chunky, but the Land Dweller definitely has oyster quartz DNA in it. So Carter, hey Carter VDR, gray market follows the stock market sentiment. This, like I said, I think most of the action is going to be between private buyers and sellers, because the businesses are, businesses have ways to, mitigate their losses, and they draw their horns back a little and such. But if somebody needs money and got to dump that Rolex, they're going to dump that Rolex. And there are quite a few websites that do it, not just Chrono 24. And then there are people like Federico, over at Federico Talks Watches. He runs a business selling watches as well. Um, the marketplace is scared, but I think it's more scared because of uncertainty, um, which is also in and of itself a negative thing. But it's the world economy isn't in that bad a shape. Uh, I think there's a lot of politics involved that I'm not even going to even attempt to touch, and there's a lot of uncertainty. But I mean, the watch marketplace is still there, and if, like I said, if you look on the resale sites, prices haven't changed significantly. Not since the bubble popped on the Rolex last year or so. Um, but prices have been pretty steady since. I haven't seen a significant dive in anything. I've seen some private stuff. Like I had a friend talk about selling a first generation Air King, with the 1, 3, and 6 not loomed, for like 6K. But then again, that wasn't a very popular Rolex to begin with, and 6K is still a lot of money for a used watch. And percentage-wise, there's no other watch of its age or vintage that would sell for that percentage of its original price, if I may hazard to say. But the nice thing about the internet, somebody will do the research and either say, "Hey, you were right," or say, "Ha ha, you were wrong." In fact, I know some people who actually do post odd questions on the internet just to get other people to do their research for them. To either, they um, some people are very intense about it. But the other side of the coin is it allows us to be able to research things and do our due diligence when we're shopping for a watch. And so now's the time, in my humble opinion, I would suggest build a war chest, save what you can, have a big jar, put watches on it, squirrel away as much money as you can while you're waiting. Keep your eyes open, keep your powder dry, analyze, do your research. What are you looking for? What are you thinking of getting? What is out there that is available to you? What is out there that you would like to get? And then you set yourself a primary goal and then maybe a secondary goal, because maybe once you hit the money for the primary goal, you go, hey, that wasn't that tough. Maybe I will take that extra 6 months to a year and save up to get that other piece. And then during that time, you can take that time to do the due diligence and learn more about that piece and alternatives. And then you wind up, like me with too many watches, but you're happy. And you know, I also try to sell pieces, but I don't sell to for business or to make a profit. I sell to move them out of the collection and down the street, so I don't have too many pieces. But then I was thinking, I mean, I have about 20, right? Which for some people is a lot. Peter Katza, a friend of the show and a very, very good watch blogger himself. If you don't know Peter Katza, you should definitely check his channel out. But he only has 8, and that's his number. If he has a watch he wants to buy, he sells one and gets back to 8. And I try to keep, well, because I have some watches that I don't consider really active collection watches. I have watches that I have that I like because of the watch they are. Like I don't really wear my moon phase moon swatch. I just have it. I do wear my Accutron occasionally. Um, and other pieces that are in there. Like I do wear occasionally my Lunar Pilot, my Bulova Lunar Pilot, but I try to keep the really expensive pieces to like less than 10. And I'm failing right now, but I'm glad I was able to get the president out of my hands, because that freed up a lot of money, and I had owed her the rest, so now I don't owe her the rest because I don't have the watch. So, not that I'm going to look, but if I do come across something, I'll at least have the means to do it. Whereas if I came across something 2 weeks ago, I would have had to turn it down because I didn't have the money or the foreseeable money. I had too much. I don't. It was an interest-free loan, but so I still have to give her that or had to give her that money. And I'm really pleased that she did that. I mean, it was really cool because I've sold watches and regretted it and bought them back myself. So, and the fact that she took it back, she's going to wear it. And Heinz would have loved it that she wore it. I had it serviced. I replaced the diamond bezel with a gold original bezel. So it's way more wearable. People who've seen the video, I mean, the stills I've shot of it, I should have done a video on it. I'll borrow it back and do that. But yeah, there's always going to be uncertainty in any market, even in a bull market, even in the best markets. The problem with the best markets, then the uncertainty is it a risk? Am I buying at the top? You know, things of those nature. There are different fears for different markets, but there are fears out there. You know, imagine buying a Rolex at the top of the bubble. I did, lost money. It happens. So, Daniel, hi, Alex. Do I still live in Frankfurt? I live near Frankfurt. I live in Wiesbaden, lovely city. I thought you mentioned something like Wiesbaden, W, because the Germans pronounce W as a V. So it's a W, Wiesbaden is Wiesbaden, Wiesbaden. Really lovely city. It was a spa town since Roman times. So it's a cute little, slightly rich city, a lot of villas. That's why living in the basement of a villa. So I get to live cheap and still say I live in a villa. Not that I say I live in a villa, because in Wiesbaden, almost everybody lives in. I shouldn't say that. But it's during the war. There's a urban legend that the Allies didn't bomb Wiesbaden as heavily because they wanted the villas for the general staff when they started occupying. But Wiesbaden's a very beautiful city. Hot mineral water bubbling out of the ground. There are literal fountains in the park in center of town where hot mineral water bubbles out for free. If you wanted, you'd be conspicuous bathing, but they do have one that's set up. You can drink some, and it even tells you all the minerals and stuff that's in it. Wiesbaden's a beautiful city. So I plan to spend next year in Portugal. Wow. Well, Daniel, man, if you fly through Frankfurt, let me know. And while you're in Portugal, maybe it'll give me an excuse to go visit it. I've never been to Portugal. I have other friends down there. See, so then I do a round robin. I visit all the people I know in Portugal. Don't have to pay for hotels. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that necessarily. Necessarily. Oh, Tanya, love the texture on the face. Oh, elusive man. Message deleted. Oh, I guess they must have. I don't know what was going on there, but a lot of deleted messages. But we'll leave that alone. Gian, glad you're. Oh, they were probably communicating and decided to go off screen or something. Oops, I made a grave error. Massive apologies. I was cleaning my phone and I accidentally timed you out. Yes, yeah, I figured something was going on like that. So, Gian is, I'm just apologizing to everyone about that kind of stuff. Maybe you can undo my time out on elusive men from my end. You know something? I hate to say it. I don't even know how to do that. But what I could do is, what can I do? Elusive men. Let me click on it and see if I can do something with that. Temporarily hide, add as moderator. And that doesn't say, I mean, nothing like reversing, but that's okay. He'll forgive you. He'll forgive you. Peter just jumped in. How's it going, my friend? I've been watching your stuff, but I haven't had it. I should have commented last time. But you're down to 6 now. That's awesome. I honestly don't know how I would get there. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, if I was in severe uh, duress, I could pick 6, but 6 would be tough. 8, I think I could probably get it to 8. If I just got rid of the ones that I just kept just to have and other stuff, Peter, I would, yeah, I think I could get to 8 if I had to. If you had a pistol to my head, brother, I would go to 8. But you're to 6 now. That's interesting. Do you plan to buy 2 more, or are you going to level out at 6? So, fade to black. Hey, fade to black. I failed as well. I have way too many. Well, the thing about watches, is they don't burn up or rot off or whatever, get used up. Because, like, I used to be a car guy. Well, I'm still a car guy, but I don't own a car right now. But I used to be a big car guy. I was a mechanic. My father had a garage and gas station in Brooklyn when I was growing up, and I would buy beat up 944s and 924s, and I'd fix them up and drove them until I couldn't fix them anymore. And the nice thing about a 1980s Porsche is they are eminently repairable. It could be expensive for parts, but there's like almost no electronics in a 944. There are some, but nothing of even remotely considering what electronics today. Um, but new tires, 2,000 bucks. New exhaust system, 2,000 bucks. Whatever, paint job, whatever. None of that comes back. You couldn't take the tires off of that car and sell them. Whereas if I really wanted to take a loss, I could sell a watch for cash money. Maybe less than I wanted, but I could sell a watch for cash money. It doesn't get used up, doesn't get burned up. You buy a watch, you turn around 6 months later, there it is, still on the shelf. So that's why you wind up with too many watches, because the lovely thing about watches is they're forever if you take care of them. Let's see. The timeout lasts 10 minutes. Oh, well, we're only halfway through the hour, so there's some time, and he'll forgive you. Hopefully, no, he'll forgive you. Carter, even when buying on the top of the market with most Rolexes, you get your money back in the long run. This is true in the long run, because when you sell, the more patience you have, the more money you will make from your sale. That's a given. You know what I mean? That's why shopkeepers will turn you down on a watch, and you're like, well, come on, no one's ever going to buy it. They don't care. 5 years from now, maybe somebody will walk in and want that watch, and they'll get their money for it. You know, if you have patience, you can get almost always close to your asking price if you're willing to wait, because the nature of the marketplace is eventually someone will come along that is motivated enough to give you the money that you want for that piece. I mean, everything that I've managed to sell, even close to break even, was because I had the patience to wait it out. You know, but sometimes you don't have the time, and then when you rush, you sacrifice. You have to give up some of that money. But watches are, I wouldn't say completely fungible goods, but watches are fungible goods. Fungible is a fancy word for you. It's equal to money, but it's not really equal to money, but it's convertible, easily convertible to money. You know, oil is a fungible good. So watches can be a fungible good. And if you have the right watch, you don't even have to be patient. If you had a platinum Daytona and you wanted to dump it today, you'd probably find somebody within a week that would pay what you wanted for it because it's so rare. You know, um, although your Timex Q it might take a while, but if you just want 20 bucks for it, you can move that thing quick, and you're still getting cash money. How many things can you flip that easily and quickly? Go to your garage sale and you get 25 cents for the toaster. You know, watches really are an interesting marketplace when it comes to value and the like, because a lot of the value in a watch is intangible. Whereas, for example, jewelry, right? Most jewelry is sold for gold weight or silver weight or whatever, unless it's new product and then you're paying retail. But once it's gone out that front door, it's worth what it's worth in its weight in that material, pretty much. Um, Although a lot of jewelers will buy back merchandise they sold you for half, and that's why rappers and other street, or well, rappers took their style from street people. And when you're living on the streets in New York City, not living, you may have an apartment, but I mean, if you're like a hustler in New York City, um, you wear jewelry because the police can't take it. It's part of your clothing. It's part of your personal belongings. They could take money in your pocket and claim that it's illegal, income or whatever. But if you're wearing a big ass gold chain and you get arrested, you got your bail money around your neck because the jeweler you bought it from will give you half the money back for it. But You can get more than half of your money back for most watches if you're willing to wait the time. I mean, you can get upwards of 80% of the retail value on a non, uh, you know, premium brand watch, like a Rolex or a Vacheron or a Patek or whatever. You're good as gold with any of those. But like you could get if you bought a $1,500 Seiko, you could almost certainly get $1,000 for it. 990, $900 for it, and that's more than half. Um, Not many products can be sold for a significant percentage of their retail price. Watch is one of the few things. Cars are another. Cars and watches have a lot in common. Hey, Chris, my banker friend he's a very smart money man, and he says it is a bear market and will stay like that for a while. But a bear market for who? Is it a bear market for the buyers, or is it a bear market for the sellers? Is it a bear market for everyone? I mean, there's some opportunities out there. Like I said, I literally just bought this Presage for 1,100 euros, limited, automatic Presage, power reserve, really nice piece. I didn't plan to buy it, but somebody needed the money, and I had, because of the deal with my ex, I had my war chest back, and I picked up a nice travel piece. And like I said, it's not, it's good to have a nice but relatively inexpensive travel piece because you never know what kind of situation you wind up in. If you know where you're going, you can take what you want, but sometimes you don't know where you're going. But Chris, well, we got to get together. By the way, I'm back from the States, as you heard or can tell now. So yeah, maybe I'll come out. I'm in Nuremberg next week for the SPS Electronics Conference tomorrow. But maybe towards the end of the week. No, that's Thanksgiving. Maybe this weekend we can get together in Frankfurt for a beer. Jean, yeah, Peter, I saw your videos. Always have 8 watches. Miranda, good evening. Hey, how's it going from Berlin? Greetings from Wiesbaden. Elusive man, what did my ex do to take the president back? She just gave me my deposit back. I gave her a down payment. I shouldn't say deposit, but I mean, I gave her a down payment. I had told her I would give her market value for it, and gave her several thousand euros as a down payment. And so I gave her the watch, and I even had it serviced. I had it serviced. I taken care of, new gasket and such. And but the thing is now, since she's taken it back, I know she's not going to sell it. And she told me she'd give me first refusal if she ever did decide to sell it again. So it stays in the family, and I don't have to spend that money, because that's the primary reason I bought it, was to keep because it belonged to my daughter's grandfather, my father-in-law, and he was a really cool guy. His name was Heinz Falk. He was a really cool guy. Uh, and I do regret his passing. And he went a long time ago. He went too young. And so that his Rolex would be owned eventually by his grandchildren, I think he would appreciate that. So yeah, I'm lucky. I managed to keep the watch in the family and not have to pay for it. And I'm not a yellow gold guy. I mean, this is the closest thing I have to it, my two tone. Uh, but I was starting to like the yellow gold. I was starting to like that president, though. But like I said, I'm glad she's got it back. I didn't really need to spend that kind of money anyway. That would have been the most expensive watch I ever bought in my collection. Let's see. Glad I'm back. Oh no, elusive man. Yeah, I'm glad he's back too. Wristful ignorance. Giants choke again. Ouch. Ooh. Yeah, that's right. I'm not watching the game. My friend's watching the game right now. He was saying, I got to get home, because I wanted to get home for the show, and he wanted to get home. So we were at the bar together today this afternoon, and my friend Will. And he's like, I got to get home, catch the game. I'm like, I got to get home, set up for my live stream. So we both managed to leave the bar at an appropriate time. And he was driving, so he was being careful. And you've seen drunk horology with Alex on other occasions, and I decided not to inflict that upon you this evening. Oh, Chris, bear market is like in good for buying and bad for selling. Well, then for collectors, it's a great market if you look at it from that perspective, because the sellers are still going to have to do business, and so they're going to, unfortunately, maybe take lower margins or make better deals on some of their older stock. As I was saying, it's that's why I say I call it. That's why I call it a raccoon market. You got to be that little the little predator. You got to forage. You got to find those grubs and such in the soil that are hidden from view. You know, now's the time to do some serious shopping. I'm actually, uh, Chris, when I do come out next weekend. Um, let's go to Pletch and see if they got anything else on their crash rack. Because I picked up my Globemaster. This was a watch that I owned and I got rid of and I missed and I wound up buying a new one because I saw one at Pletch on sale. I got it for like 30% off. 35. I mean, I got it for a significant discount. And now's a good time to look around, to be do your due diligence, be aware. I believe it was Louis Pasteur who said chance favors the prepared mind. And so keep an eye on what the prices are on the because like I said, if you look at what the prices are on three different websites, you'll have a rough idea what the going rate for any specific piece of merchandise out there. Um, and so if you know roughly what the piece is worth, you do your research and you know what kind of piece it is and how important it is to you, and you come across it in a situation, you'll be able to think on the fly and make the right decision whether to get it or not. But the more prepared you are mentally, the more, like I said, the more you stuff that jar full of quarters. Never, 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 never buy a watch on credit. You don't want to pay interest on a luxury item. It's bad enough that some people are paying interest on things they need. You don't need a watch. As I've often said, how many watches do you need? Zero. But we choose to collect watches because we love them, and that's a different issue. Then but then that also, you recognize that you're buying it because you're buying it to own, um, to enjoy, not to live off of. So yeah, save your money, and then in that time, it gives you the time to do the due diligence and the research, and be able to make a more intelligent buying decision. And in this marketplace, as Chris pointed out, it's good for the buyer to a greater degree. Let's see, Gian, what do I think of the new Tudor Rangers? Yay or nay? I think if you like that design, go for it. I can think of other watches I would buy for that money. I would think of other Tudor watches I would buy for that money. I mean, like when you think about those new moon phases, right? I saw some of them in the window at my local shop, and I'm a sucker for a moon phase anyway. And those are nice watches, be a great office work watch. The Ranger is a nice field watch, but I don't know. You really have to like that design, and some people do, and then they wear it and they love it. But as far as watches go, it's a good watch, well made. I mean, it's a Tudor. Tudor makes good watches. You're not going to be disappointed with that piece. So, if you wanted to pull the trigger on one, I would say the important thing is to go find one in the wild and put it on your wrist at the shop and decide with it touching your skin if you want it or not. Don't go by a picture. Go by your physical impression of the piece. Let's see. Daniel, I have 8 watches, which is perfect because I'm all in rotation. Well, I rotate my pieces too, because the nice thing about having, of my collection of 20 or so pieces, I wear maybe 13 actively, 15 actively. So that's enough to wear each like twice a month. And some pieces I don't wear often. I wear like I don't wear. I must admit, weirdly enough, I don't wear my IWC often, but I travel with it often. Things of that nature. I find myself when I just feel like wearing something around the house that's highly legible, or I go to a concert I wear my normal someplace where I need something that looks nice but is extremely legible. You wear different watches at different times for different reasons. So the Ranger could scratch your itch for a certain piece. Go for it, Tanya. Truth. And when it comes to buying on credit, exactly. You don't want to pay interest on a luxury item, uh, which by definition is something you don't need. You know, pay interest on medicine if you had to. I mean, that would be terrible too. But I'm just saying, don't buy something on credit you don't need, because why pay interest on something? Then you're gonna be disappointed in it, because since you owe money on it, it's gonna make you resent it in a subliminal fashion, and you won't be happy with it. And like I said, if you save, it gives you the time to do the research. Maybe you decide to buy something else, or you learn enough about it to decide to buy it used because you know enough that you feel confident to look for something and find it, and save money that way. So save and take that time to do your due diligence, to research, learn as much as you can, and that's the beautiful part of being a collector anyway, and a member of this community is the discovery. Oscar. Yes, he's upgraded. Yes, he totally has upgraded his name, Gian. Oscar Nunez, the watch collector. But it's cool because, of course, that long with your full name, no one else would have that, and it would be that's cool. That is sharp. Nice, mimicking vintage watches. Elusive man. I have 14. Some pieces I don't wear often, but I try to keep the rotation going. Some watches I wear for specific reasons. Yeah, exactly. That's me. That's me. But I have the president made me realize I need to wear my oyster quartz more, because I don't wear it that often, because it's a little on the dressy side. So I just wear it now with collared shirts with long sleeves, and and I'm realizing I should just enjoy the damn thing and wear it more, which I am. And for those of you who don't know the oyster quartz, it's actually a hybrid electromechanical movement. It's not your standard quartz. There's an actual pallet fork doing the ticky ticky for the second hand. It's a 1 hertz deadbeat 11 joule movement attached to a quartz driver motor. So it's a really cool, interesting piece. But that's why I like it. Let's see. Oh, quarter till. So, elusive man, that happens to me when you own more than 80 watches. 80 watches. 80 watches. So that means you can wear 8 and 8, 16. Yeah, you could wear each watch a few times a year, which is enough for some people. But then again, something tells me you probably have 10 or so that are in high rotation, another 10 or so that are in low rotation, and the rest you dust off occasionally. But then I could be wrong. But I have a friend who has over 100 watches, and I know that some of them just sit in boxes, obviously, you know. And some people just like collecting, and there's nothing wrong with just collecting to have them, but I prefer to wear all of mine. But there are a lot of people with safe queens, expensive pieces they've never worn. And I consider those investments. I don't consider those I consider them investors, not watch collectors in that sense, because they're collecting the watch because it is a commodity that they can sell for a higher price later. They're not buying it so they can wear it, you know. I think it has to be personal to really be a collector. I'm not saying that it's bad to use watches as an investment vehicle, but you better pick the right ones. 80 is like almost 3 months. Yeah, exactly. So you can 12 months in a year, you could wear each watch 4 times. More than four, slightly more than 4 times. Your favorites, you can wear a couple extra. Elusive man. That being said, I'm pretty turned off with watches as of late with the regime and it's okay. Let's skip that piece. I will not be buying in the US. However, I was super close in getting the Seiko in Tokyo. Well, I said I just picked up a Seiko myself. I managed to get my hands on the limited edition Presage Power Reserve GMT. I'm really pleased I got it because this is going to become probably my default travel watch because I can wear it anywhere and I can feel comfortable that no one's going to try to cut my arm off for it. And it's still a nice piece, and I like the way it looks. And it is a mechanical travel GMT, so it pushes all of my buttons because it's a travel GMT, which is what I need. It's a mechanical, so it has what I want. Yeah, look at that. That looks nice. It's a mechanical, so it has what I want. I like it's a dark blue. I like blue. What can I say? I'm very pleased I picked this up. So what I'm saying, and this was something I literally just bought. So you keep your eyes. It's a raccoon market. You got to forage and you got to look for the deals and you got to keep your eyes open. And sometimes you might have to dig through the garbage can, but you never know what you might find. There are going to be dealers dumping old stock, and maybe you like one of those old pieces. You might even find some new old stock stuff because they're digging through their back rooms and pulling stuff out just to get rid of it. So keep your eyes open, keep your powder dry, save up, build a war chest, do your research. And in the end, you'll be much happier because you'll be able to afford a better piece. You'll understand what you're looking for. You'll be better able to negotiate and discuss the pieces. Watch people, watch salespeople. Some of them resonate with someone who really knows what they're talking about and cares, and you might get a break. That's what happened with me at when I picked up my Globemaster. I don't think if we hadn't resonated, he wouldn't have given me the break he gave me on that piece. So yeah, keep your eyes open. Cultivate your friendships in the industry. Maybe a friend knows about something that is available. You never know. Oh, I got to apply for the Red Bar and clubs. They have exchanges as well. I'm gonna now that I'm a member, I'm gonna ask to get access and push some stuff out through there. But it's gonna be an opportunistic market. Keep your eyes open. If you're selling, don't expect to make top dollar, but you'll get cash money. And if you're patient, you'll get close to what you're asking for. Because if you're asking a reasonable price, someone will give you reasonable money. Gian, around the world in 80 days, one watch at a time. That's a good one. That's a great one, actually. That's a cute. What you do is you do the 80 watches in front of photographs of various cities, and then you can say, hey, yes, Turin. Uh, Oscar, I know people who own more than 400. That means they can't even wear them all in a year. But then, yeah, I mean, obviously they wear some of them, but I wonder how many aren't being loved. Like Toy Story, they're in the bottom of the toy box. They never play with me. Miranda, with so many watches, is servicing them not a hassle? What is my recommendation for service frequency? And is it worth it for watches like Hamilton, Tissot, etc.? All mechanical watches are worth servicing because they can be serviced. And a non-functional watch is worthless. So it is always worth it to fix a watch if you want to keep it. I mean, some watches are unsellable. Maybe it's something because it's the wrong size, shape, color, whatever. But even watches you would think are unsellable, somebody's out there looking for a purple square, whatever. You never know. That's why the more patience you have. But when it comes to a collection, like I plan on spending money every year for maintenance. I just dropped. Well, my ex even reimbursed me for the money I spent 400 euros to have that president disassembled, cleaned, reassembled. There was nothing wrong with it, but there's still 400 bucks just to have 400 euros, more than 400 bucks to have and I do business with this guy all the time, so he gave me a break. and $400 to have the president disassembled and cleaned and reassembled. You have to plan for that. You have to. I mean, um, I've got pieces here that would probably, well, like I said, you cultivate a relationship with a good watchmaker, and then you can save yourself a significant amount of money. I just sent my Frederic Constant world timer to him. It has a visible screw bouncing around in the back, and it stopped. It's been stopping on me. And then I looked in and I noticed the screw bouncing around. I'm like, maybe I should send it to a watchmaker now. But with luck, it's nothing major. But if it is, better to have. I mean, it's worthless. If it doesn't work, it's worthless. So you might as well have it serviced to at least make it useful. And if it's a good piece, you could sell it. You know, I often sell a piece after I've had it serviced because I've got the year warranty sitting in my hand, so I can sell it to somebody, and I know nothing. And if anything happens to that watch, I can go back to the watchmaker, and he'll honor his warranty. Um, you keep your watches in good running order. Take care of your watches, and they'll take care of you. But yeah, I factor in the cost of maintenance into my collection management. And I have a time grapher, so I keep an eye on my watch's performance. So if it does start acting squirrely, preventative maintenance, I take it in early and have it taken care of. But if as long as it's running well, I leave them alone because it's not cheap. But as long as it's running well, if it ain't broke, you don't need to fix it. Oscar, Alex, can I consider my Rolex quartz kind of Accutron mechanism? Mm, no, not really. Basically, the way the oyster quartz is made, it's got a an electric motor that's regulated by a temperature compensated quartz crystal mechanism or circuit, and that drives an 11 joule 1 hertz deadbeat escapement. So it's a hybrid. It's closer to spring drive in that the hands are mechanically driven, the gear work, everything is driven mechanically, but the impetus is quartz related. In the case of the oyster quartz, it's a battery powered motor. In the case of a spring drive, it's a spring, and it's driven by the waste energy from the magnetic clutch mechanism. The physical motion bleeds energy, the braking effect with the magnet. It's like regenerative braking in an electric vehicle, and that's how it gets its power. But the oyster quartz is a true mechanical mechanism driven by a motor. So in the case of a standard quartz watch, there are a lot of little electric motors driving the various hands. In this, a, a pallet fork and I wouldn't call it an escapement wheel because it's hooked up to the hands, but it literally has a mechanical, um, it has a mechanical movement driving the hands in the oyster quartz. It's a really interesting uh, mechanism. I I would almost say they could bring it back because uh, Accutron, Bulova separated Accutron as its own brand, and they brought back the tuning fork, Accutron. You can buy a new one now. They just came out. They were uh, unveiled in New York, and I saw them at Watch Time Dusseldorf. If you check my shorts, I've got a video of the new tuning fork Accutron. It's 5K, so it's not cheap, but it's a unique mechanism and it's true horology. So it's up to you to decide whether it's worth it. But the tuning fork Accutron is back, baby. Ravi, I have some watches that don't run. For example, I'm not comfortable wearing an Accutron as the cost of ownership is high, but I love the technology. I bought a non-working one for 10 euros. Well, then you put it in a little glass ball and you put it on your shelf, and then it's a object d'art. Dada is found art. To own it, just to say, hey, this is a cool technology. This is a non-working one, but this is how they work. This is a real one, like an arrowhead. It's not attached to the arrow, but it's still a piece of vintage technology. It's still a piece of vintage technology that you can show off as an object. So I would put it on a nice, put it on in like a little glass dome thingy, and just say, look, Accutron, mine works, but it needs a new battery. And the trouble with the old Accutrons is the old battery technology, the voltages weren't as high. Modern button batteries are too hot, and so you have to get either vintage batteries, or you have to physically put a resistor in your Accutron to step the voltage down from a modern battery. I'm actually thinking of having that done. Trouble is, the only person I know who could do it is the I believe the Accutron doctor in Tokyo, who did my Speed Sonic, and replaced the plate and everything. Fantastic watchmaker. Well worth the trouble to send it all the way to Tokyo. Um, I'm really thinking about having the battery put in mine, but if you let the battery run down and it's still functional, you don't have to fix it, and it's still. And I haven't worn it lately, but I'll probably replace the battery eventually soon. Eventually soon. Let's see. Miranda, thanks. So you wouldn't service them as long as they're working? I wouldn't service them as long as they're working well. If you don't have a time grapher, just keep a rough log of how fast or slow the watch is. Every once in a while, write down, the time and when you set it and all, and track your watch. And if it starts running funny, take it in. As long as it's running clean, I mean, it's a mechanical device, right? So if it starts acting squirrely, it's going to start acting squirrely fast. So the moment it starts acting up, you got to stop it, or sometimes it'll eat itself. It's a mechanical device. The gears can strip each other or some crap like that. The moment it starts acting up, stop wearing it and take it in. But as long as it's running well and it's running, keeping good time, leave it alone. Leave it. And that's my personal advice. Do not, I am not an arbiter or a representative of anything of that nature. That is my personal opinion. Your mileage may vary. Uh, Gian, I'm leaning to limit my watches to just 10. 10's a good collection size. I got a 10 slot Wolf watch box. There we go. And that'll keep you, like, it's got to fit in the case. Oh, I'm looking for a chronograph and a GMT, and you're done. Well, I like chronographs and I like GMTs, and like I said, I just picked up a new GMT, and GMTs are useful for me because I travel. Chronographs are useful for me because I sometimes use them when I cook. Got to time it somehow. Oh, Ravi. I said hi. I love wearing watches to the fullest. I'm more comfortable buying a non-working watch if it has a rare movement. Well, there you go. Yeah, like the Accutron. I still have a one out, one in policy with that part of my collection. Oh, there you go. Helps you manage its size. We talked about managing your collection last week too. Restful ignorance. I have 15 watches. I don't collect to invest. No one asks you if you read all the comic books in your collection. Some are destined to live in the plastic. That's a good point. Like I said, some people choose. But even those people, some of them wear watches or rotate their pieces. Or the comic book people, maybe they occasionally take them out with, rubber gloves and read their Superman #1. Or at least turn the pages and admire the artwork. But I get your point. Ravi, I know a watchmaker who only works on Accutron watches. There are a few who are specialists who do nothing but that. Exactly. I'm sending mine to him to be serviced. Who's yours, Oscar? Like I said, I've used the Accutron doctor in Tokyo. He's a good guy. Miranda, fun fact, some Swiss quartz watches I own for 30 years, use them in water countless times, and they still work fine with new batteries. I'm just worried about my mechanical ones. Well, if you're just talking about timekeeping, a quartz watch is going to beat a mechanical watch every day of the week and twice on Sunday. But what's the fun in that? Mechanical watches have their own charm, and that's why we collect them. But that's why you collect them too. Oscar, my dream is to have a setup like Joe, just less quartz. Oh, and on that note, we are at the top of the hour. I got to catch a train tomorrow, so I am going to end on the hour today. But I always like ending it while we're rolling because I know we are full of conversation for the next episode. Have a fantastic week, and most especially, have a fantastic evening. Take care, everybody. Love you all. And yeah, take care of yourselves. It's a rough world out there.